Eamon Gilmore. Eamon Gilmore.
It seems to me, Ceann Comhairle, that the Taoiseach is now trying to elevate to the status of a constitutional principle his personal act of political self-preservation, which is what the trek to the High Court was about yesterday. And it's a bit much to have him come in here today and try and convince us that he's doing this on our behalf to protect parliamentary privilege. Taoiseach, you're doing this on your own behalf. And secondly, there is precedent for members of this House being questioned about what they say in the House. Mr. Hoy was questioned about it. Mr. Reynolds was questioned about what he said in the House. Mr. O'Malley and Mr. Spring and Mr. Rabbitte and several members of this House were questioned about things that they have said in this House. And it's not correct to equate the Howlin case with what is happening here. Deputy Howlin, and indeed the other cases that they were being spun yesterday, went to court to protect the confidentiality of the sources of information they received. Mr. Ahern is going to the court to protect the confidentiality of the sources of money he received. And so this is not about protecting parliamentary privilege. This is about pleading the fifth. And in doing so, you're adding to the delay in the tribunal. Taoiseach quotes today eminent legal advice that he has received. We heard eminent legal opinion this morning saying that this will add 6 months to the length of time to a tribunal that we would all dearly wish would come to a conclusion very soon at considerably less cost. We must remember that this tribunal is going on for so long because every time it got anywhere near finding out anything of substance, some key witness went to the court to mount a legal challenge against it, just as the Taoiseach is doing on this occasion. So Taoiseach, I want to put this to you. You're going to the court either because you're playing for time or because you're trying to hide something. Now, what is it that you don't want the tribunal, that you said in this House that you don't want the tribunal to ask you questions about? Could it be, for example, the statement that you made here on the 27th of September 2006 when you said, I paid capital gains tax and gift tax. It is not appropriate for me to spell out what I paid. Is that what you're worried about? Or is it the response that you gave to Deputy Rabbitte when you said, Deputy Rabbitte asked me earlier whether there was any documentation on the circumstances of these loans from the individuals concerned. There is comprehensive documentation and it is with the tribunal as well. Are these the things that you're concerned about? Are these the things that you don't want the tribunal to ask you about? You are trying to have it both ways. You don't want us here in the Dáil to ask you questions about things that you say before the tribunal, and now you don't want the tribunal to ask you questions about things that you say in the Dáil. Well, first of all, it's a very interesting relationship that the Taoiseach appears to have with his lawyers, where it would appear from his presentation now that they're telling him what to do rather than he directing his legal team, as would be the case for most clients. Secondly, can I correct him in respect of the cases that were brought by Deputies Spring, Rabbitte and McGilla? In those cases, the issue was that they were supplied with information which formed the basis of statements that they made here in the House. The then Beef Tribunal attempted to get the three deputies concerned to state at the tribunal the source of that information. Who told them? I think in one case, I think it was a senior banker was involved in it. And they went to court to protect the identity of their sources. Now, whose identity, if the Taoiseach is using this parallel, whose identity is he going to court to protect? There's a very big difference between seeking to protect confidentiality about sources of information and seeking to protect confidentiality about sources of payments. It's a very big difference. So this analogy does not hold. And I repeat again that the Taoiseach's legal challenge to the tribunal has nothing to do with parliamentary privilege. It is about protecting himself. If there was an issue about parliamentary privilege, That could have been dealt with at any time by the Taoiseach and his government by way of an amendment to the terms of reference of the tribunal. This last-minute rush to the court is to play for time, to delay the tribunal even further, add to its costs, and in the process to prevent the tribunal from asking the Taoiseach about things he said here in the Dáil.